my role is to be really the public face of and provide information about what's going on in the pandemic, and also to provide advice about what people can do, and to explain where we are and what we can do. I'm a medical doctor by profession. I was training to be a gynecologist actually, and one of my patients said to me, if somebody like you had explained to me the things I need to know before, I wouldn't need to see you. And that was a changing moment for me. And I moved then into public information and education and public health at that point.
Amazed, but I have to ask you about Bleach. It has been got into the public domain. Can Bleach help against COVID-19?
Do not drink bleach. Do not drink bleach for any reason. What bleach is used for is cleaning the external surfaces. And yes, bleach is great for cleaning external surfaces and getting rid of bacteria and viruses, and very useful, but make sure you use it at the correct concentration. It can scrape off the skin on your hands. It can cause irritation if you don't get the right concentrations as well. But do not drink bleach.
And soap and water is just ideal for this particular virus anyway.
Yes, soap and water kills it effectively. And the thing is, the virus likes to live in secretions, to use a charming word, but basically biological material. It does much, if anybody's had a cough or a sneeze knows what I mean, some pretty yucky stuff comes out of our nose.
Yeah.
And the virus loves that. We may not like it, but the virus loves it and can last longer. So again, if you've got anything like that on your hands, and yeah, you'd think you'd notice, but you don't necessarily if you've touched a surface, you need to give it a good mechanical rub. So that's why we make a big fuss about how long you wash your hands, and that you wash like this, you wash like this, you wash the backs. It's not just a quick under the water. Give it a good mechanical rub. And that's why soap and water is great, because doing that, using the soap helps with the mechanical rubbing.
Cold weather. Is this virus, will we see it subdue as the winter arrives here in the Northern Hemisphere?
So many people were hopeful of that one, because the large outbreaks in Europe were happening in cold weather, but they didn't really pay attention to the Southern Hemisphere. Summer at the same time, and they were also experiencing large outbreaks. Now, one of the reasons people think of these kind of viruses as being cold weather viruses is because, remember, it's a human contact virus. It likes it when we huddle together. It spreads well in poorly ventilated spaces where lots of humans crowd together. Now, that happens much more in the winter than the summer. In the summer, we have the opportunity to keep our distance and enjoy ourselves out in much better ventilated spaces. So that's generally why such a respiratory virus doesn't spread so well in the summer. But oh yes, it can spread well in the summer too.
Thank you. Drugs. Now, are there any drugs that have been shown to be effective that are common use against the symptoms of COVID-19 right now?
So we don't have anything, as I mentioned before, that kills the virus, but we do have drugs that can help with the symptoms. So for instance, if you have fever, which is a common symptom, paracetamol is effective for managing the fever. If you have progressed to the serious lung disease, which is what happens in the moderate cases, but particularly the severe cases, there have been studies now that show that the death rate can drop considerably if steroids, dexamethasone, is used for those people. Now, it's not been shown that it works. You wouldn't just go off and grab dexamethasone. This is something that needs to be given in hospital and given appropriately if you have a severe case. Other drugs that are being looked at, we haven't seen a clear effect size yet, but doctors are looking at particularly the blood thinners, because some people, again, with the severe form are developing blood clots, and that's causing problems. So there are lots of different medications that treat particular symptoms. And as we understand more and more about what this virus does to the body, we're getting better and better at mitigating those symptoms and helping people get through it and survive the disease.
And those kinds of drugs may be applicable to individuals on their personal circumstances, But right now, there's nothing generic. Lovely.
That's right.
Um, Garlic. Can garlic help protect me against COVID-19?
Garlic is a wonderful herb. It's delicious. It's great. Anything made with garlic, but no, it's not going to protect you from COVID-19.
And I'll run through some other similar ones like this. So hand dryers. Um, can the act of drying your hands under a dryer kill off the virus?
If your hands have been washed well, the virus is already killed.
Right.
The hand dryers are just simply there to dry your hands. But what's going to kill the virus is that soap and water and the good, thorough rubbing and cleaning.
One of my most unusual and unexpected myths that I came across was this, that by holding your breath for 10 seconds, that somehow will keep me COVID-19 free. Any truth in that?
No, there is no truth in that. It's a weird one because I've seen this in other sort of medical myths. Someone circulated for all sorts of conditions. So no, that will not protect you from COVID-19, nor the other things that this particular myth seems to attach itself to.
And just to repeat the seasonal variations you've already indicated, Tom Hanks caught this in the middle of the Australian summer, or in the Australian summer. So the idea of hot climates and humid climates being a protection for us, there's no truth in that, is there?
No truth in that. And you might say to me, I mentioned earlier that the reason people often think of these respiratory viruses as cold weather viruses because they spread when people are close together. In hot and humid climates, it's so hot and humid, people also spend time indoors. So again, it's not that the temperature is helping the virus, it's the human behavior that helps the virus.
Very important point. And likewise, some people think that because if they get fever is one of the symptoms of being infected, somehow having a hot bath will be a solution to that infection.
No, again, a fever is the body's response to try to change to a foreign body, something that shouldn't be there. So it's the body calling in all its armies to get action against the virus. A hot bath might make you feel comfortable, but it's not going to kill the virus. It might make you feel a bit better.
And the same concept, but perhaps semantically similar at least, if you have hot peppers or hot chilies, maybe a hot curry or jalapenos inside you, would that provide any form of defense?
Once again, yummy. I love jalapenos and chili. And they
Right.
were used as a form of antiseptic in food, but that's for bacteria, for gastrointestinal things. This virus doesn't work that way. No.
Now, there's different ways that the infection can be transmitted, and house flies and shoes. Is that any truth behind that?
We haven't seen any evidence of transmission by any kind of insect. Now, shoes, I think you're referring to people being concerned about maybe taking their shoes off and then not washing their hands. The crucial thing is always keeping your hand clean and making sure you never have an unwashed hand anywhere near your mouth, nose, or eyes. So any surface you may have touched while you're outside, especially when there's a lot of transmission going on in the community, has to be considered potentially infectious. So the barrier, the protection is that clean hand and make that clean. Ideally, never even touch your mouth, nose, and eyes, but never put anything that hasn't been well cleaned in your mouth.
Now, I've seen a lot of people wear in some shops as the lockdown eases, wear these screens over the face. Is that partly to protect the eyes?
It's certainly because we've got the three portals, we call them,
Yeah.
the three gateways for the
Right.
virus. And that's the conjunctiva of the eyes, that's the nose and the mouth. This is because it's a respiratory virus, it gets in that way and it likes these areas, it colonizes these areas. So again, because it's colonizing the back of your throat and back of your
Mhm.
nose, quite often people just before they get ill may have quite a big viral load in those places. So
Uh-huh.
they cough it out. So those screens are covering all those three portals. And actually, the interesting thing is people may be wearing them for their own protection, but what they're really doing is a courtesy to you and me because they're blocking anything that they're producing from their mouth or nose. And that's also the reason we wear masks. A lot of people think it's protecting me from
Mm.
other. Actually, it's a courtesy. We are protecting everybody else from the source, which is our mouth and nose. And ideally, if we were all doing it, the amount of virus that's being dropped out there would reduce dramatically and we would
Mm.
prevent transmit. That's why we've now moved to saying wear a mask in those sort of conditions where people are crowded together.
And that's very important. You may have heard that here in the UK, the government will be making an announcement today that the wearing of masks in closed environments, including shops, will be mandatory. And it's a big step. Do you think we've been, the world has, particularly the Western world, has arrived at using masks properly a little later than it could have done? Because in some parts of Asia, they've been using masks throughout.
Well, remember, it's a very big cultural change. It's quite a difficult behavior for people to adopt. And really, again, the other three measures, the hand washing, the physical distancing, which I should have been emphasizing earlier as we talked, and the ensuring that you don't touch your mouth, nose, and eyes, and that you cover your cough. Ideally, that should have been enough, but clearly we've got so much virus in the community that we have to go the extra step. Now, in Asia, as you quite rightly say, this is a norm. It became a norm really in many Asian societies after SARS, um,
Mhm.
because they did see the effects of a respiratory virus and really understood. But they also at the same time really went for strong environmental cleaning, strong hand washing. You find hand sanitizers at in every building lobby, outside the lifts, and it's a norm. So a lot of the behaviors that we're now learning to adopt became a norm in the societies that experienced SARS in 2003.
And you're dead right. I remember wearing the mask to go to the supermarket for the first time, and it really was an odd experience. And it is very much a cultural thing. You're dead right. Um, Looking at these masks, especially now the proper ones which cover your nose and your mouth and all the way around, if people are using them, is there any, should people wear masks when they're exercising, i.e. going out for a walk or a run or cycling? And is there a problem with um, CO2 intoxication because you're wearing that mask at the time?
So generally with exercise, we say no, because again, you are rebreathing. And also if you're exercising, now this is exercising outdoors,
Mhm.
you are at a distance from other people. Remember, the mask is for source control so that you're not spreading whatever is in the back of your throat and nose to everyone else. So if you're out exercising in the air, you're out exercising on the bike, um, no. Now with the gyms, it can be a bit difficult, but we are saying again that you are unlikely to be. I have to just check what we say, but we say don't wear a mask.
Mhm.
I'm pretty sure we say don't wear a mask in the gym. I haven't
That,
double.
that,
Yes, yeah. It does, but it does not lead to CO2 intoxication. No.
Lovely, and that was the important bit. And of course, when you are exercising, you're usually outside, so you shouldn't need to be wearing a mask
Yes, it
anyway.
masks exercise and it may reduce the ability to breathe comfortably, but it will not cause CO2 intoxication. No.
Lovely. Now, the there have been some parts of our society which are more likely to be impacted by COVID-19 than others. Now, is it a fair assumption to say that younger people are likely not to be impacted, whereas older people are?
So we're certainly seeing a higher death rate in older people. And the reason we think this is happening is people who've got what we call comorbidities, so other illnesses,
Mhm.
underlying heart disease, diabetes, lung disease, are more likely to be older. However, we've seen young people who are healthy, fit and healthy, not
Mhm.
underlying disease, not only develop the severe form, but sadly die from the severe form. So, yes, the numbers are lower in younger people, but the risk is there for everybody. So, and we also don't know what the after effects of having this virus are. We're seeing an inflammatory syndrome. It's rare, but it's happening in children, and we've seen one case of this in an adult. So
Mm.
there's much more to know about this virus. We do not know the long-term effects. So my advice is, do not get this virus. Do not think, oh, I'm young, I'm fine, I'll just have a mild illness. We don't know. We can't promise you that.
That's a very important point because there are, it's an assumption that because it's affecting the older generation, the younger are fine. No, they're not immune. And actually, on that point, um, it's surprising, but only about 80% of the people who get infected across the population tend to recover either with mild symptoms or no symptoms at all. So it's not that severe in that sense, this particular infection.
Well, again, people who have been classified as not severe, if you talk to them, they
Okay.
find it not severe. Like, a lot of them describe being very tired, dog tired, every day, and they found that they are not the same person afterwards. So again, this is not an illness that, I heard some horrific stories about people getting together and having coronavirus parties. I thought, guys, you have no idea what you're doing to yourselves.
It's an amazing thing that we have to say things like that. But yes, it's so important that we avoid um, any potential areas for infection at all
And
times.
also, of course, again, if you are one of the fortunate people who get a case that's so mild that you may not even notice it, that does not mean you are not capable of transmitting it. So you may not be ill, but you may be responsible for the illness of people near to you or and dear to you, and they may have a much more severe lethal version. So
Mm.
the answer is, do not let this virus into your body.
And that's a particular importance for the younger generation who tend not only not to feel this or be asymptomatic, but also be moving around a lot more, can easily spread it. And when it gets to older people who have, as you say, comorbidities, it's much more significant consequences for them. Um, I've seen a lot of these what look like guns, which measure temperature at airports and railway stations. Um, they are only sensors to measure essentially the temperature of the person. They're not interacting or providing any sort of treatment against potential infected individuals. They're just temperature sensors, aren't they? Nothing else.
That's absolutely correct. All they do is give it. They're a form of screening to
Mhm.
understand whether or not anybody's got a fever. Now, they're just one method of trying to identify people who may have a fever, but understand again that that's not the only thing
Mhm.
that will indicate to you whether or not somebody has coronavirus. And of course, some people with coronavirus do not have a fever; they have other symptoms. Interestingly, one of the interesting ones is loss of taste and the sense of smell. But essentially, if you are in any way ill, don't move around.
Yeah, and just assume that you are infected and behave on that premise. Yeah. Um, Viruses, bacteria, and antibiotics. again, some confusion in the public domain about this. If somebody is infected by COVID-19, will antibiotics help?
No, they will not. So the real difference between viruses and bacteria is the bacteria don't go into your cell, the virus does. The virus wants to go into your cell, steal your genetic material, and use that to make more versions of itself. That's how it works. Whereas
Mhm.
bacteria hang around outside and they form little colonies. That's how they'll form an abscess and all those other nasty things that bacteria do to you. But the two groups, even though they're both very little and cause disease, that's why we think they're the same, they're actually completely different. They're as different as, say, a walrus and a cat.
Yeah.
Um,
Uh-huh.
and so, again, how you would look after these different things or deal with these different things is entirely different. So, an antibiotic
Mhm.
aims to deal with the features of the bacteria and operates quite differently. And it's easier to develop antibiotics because, as I just said, the virus goes into the cell. So you want to get something that stops the virus before it gets into the cell, but also doesn't hurt the cell. So um, it's a lot harder to produce antivirals, or we've got much less experience with antivirals. So
Mhm.
antibiotics tend to be the things that we're a lot more familiar with.
Dr. Margaret Harris, thank you very much. I know that you and all your colleagues, and indeed the World Health Organization, this is a critical time where everything you do is going to be so important to the welfare and health of millions of people around the globe. Thank you very much indeed.
It's my pleasure, and it's why I became a health worker. So we're here to help everyone achieve the highest standard of health, and we will keep on trying.